Mhm.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kerrie Bodendorf, and I'm here with another edition of the Melt Insider. Today, I am talking with Haley.
Haley.
And Kris, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Kerrie. I am so pleased to be here that you asked me. Thanks.
And Kris, tell us where you're from and how you first learned about the Melt method.
So I'm in LA and I grew up training to be a dancer.
Mhm,
And along the way, I sustained a hamstring injury. I tore my right hamstring.
mhm,
And then, you know, as I got older, that injury started to kind of bother me. And I think it just sort of things started to creep up. So my piriformis was always spasming, my pelvis was always torquing.
mhm.
And then eventually my psoas started to inflame. And so my whole kind of right hip and glute and SI joint were just always just bothering me, and I was uncomfortable. I couldn't sit without going numb. For I go to the movies and my
Mm,
glute and my leg would go numb.
yeah.
I had to stop, doing things that I loved, like hiking, gardening, stop doing yoga. I stopped even practicing Pilates, even though I'm an instructor. I couldn't do a lot of those, all everything in that C curve, I couldn't do that. So
Wow.
um, yeah, it was a rough time, and this is 10 years ago now, and I was miserable, and it just was my life became really small.
Yeah.
And my social life started to suffer as well because I was not dependable. People would make plans with me and I would cancel at the last minute, which is not something that people enjoy. And I hated doing that. I was miserable. I didn't like who I was. I couldn't enjoy things I loved. And socially, it was a lot of effort to go out and socialize, to put
Yeah.
on that smile because I was exhausted and
Right.
burned out and my body hurt all the time.
Mm,
And I was going to a chiropractor probably twice a month, um, and or a cranial sacral, so going to a body worker just all the time. That was like my life revolved around my body work sessions and my
yeah.
pain. That was my world. And it's not a fun place to be.
Right. And
So,
there's so many people in that place. So
yeah,
many
that's
people in
what
that
your
place.
world is. You're just constantly trying to get through the day, and then when is your next appointment? And you're
Right.
white knuckling your life through the day just to get to that appointment.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's exhausting.
So
It's just
something
not
must have
good.
happened.
Well, so as a Pilates instructor, I was going to continuing ed stuff, and I really decided. I turned 50, and I was looking ahead, going, I just cannot. This had already been going on for a good 15 years,
Mm,
and I was like, I cannot live my life like this. It's kind of getting incrementally worse. So I kind of decided I'm going to figure this out. So as a Pilates instructor and going to continuing ed classes, I got connected to Liz Cook,
mhm.
and she's a psoas expert.
Yes, she
And
is.
I was like, okay, I'm going to start here and
Yeah.
see what she has to offer. So I took many, probably 5 different workshops with her within a year.
Mhm.
And she was talking about hydration of the psoas. And that was the first time I'd heard that concept. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, this is not something that everybody's, talking about in my world, but she was. And after about a year of working, doing her methods, I started to notice differences. It took a while, it's not like a quick fix,
Right.
um, but I started to see changes. And um, in those workshops, somebody was talking about, I heard about the melt method. Okay, so that was being talked about too. So 2011, I believe, was then when Sue came to LA to do a hand and foot training, and her
Mhm.
book had just come out. So I signed up for the training, and doing the hand and the feet, I was really blown away by the changes that I got, and especially in my feet, because as a
Just with
dancer,
these little balls.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I do the foot treatment all the time now before I hike, just because that's part of that lower body chain.
Mhm.
And I used to have a bunion that was bothering me that I don't. It's still a bunion, but it's has not gotten worse in 10 years. It's actually better than it used to be. So that has improved. I don't have, my pelvis doesn't go out like it used to. I hike whenever I want. Um, I garden and do all kinds of physical strenuous things, and I don't worry about it. Before I used to be so tentative and I couldn't depend on doing anything. I didn't have confidence to do these things. So now 10 years later, I'm 60 and I'm in much better shape, and I have resilience in my body, and I have confidence in my body, and my world is bigger and expansive, and it's just 1,000% better.
Oh, I absolutely love that. There's so many people out there that can relate. I certainly relate to your story too. I was 40 when I found melt, and I thought, I'm in so much pain. How am I going to feel at 50, 60, 70 years old? And I'm planning on living to at least 100. I want to see
Right.
my great grandchildren be born, you know?
Yeah.
So Melt definitely gave me my life back. And it certainly sounds like Melt gave you your life back too.
Yeah. It also gave me a more more rewarding sense and meaning in my profession. So as a my professional life is better too because of it, because the melt method has become the foundation for how I do Pilates. Pilates goes on top of that now.
Yeah.
And I just find it much more creative, and I love seeing the changes that I see in people's bodies, and I love seeing their eyes light up when they can all of a sudden, turn their head, or they can do a nice squat and their pelvis is in a good place and they're not hurting. And, they can do things that they haven't done before. So it's really invigorated my professional life and also my personal life. So it's 1,000% different today. It's priceless,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I know. Believe
yeah,
me, I know that it is priceless. And I hear that from so many Pilates instructors, just what you were saying, it's just enhanced my Pilates business. It's
mm,
helping so many people. And I don't even teach a straight Pilates class anymore. It always has little elements of melt either woven through or done before or after. There's always melt in their Pilates classes once they learn how to teach it.
yeah. There's just no way I would do Pilates the traditional way again, ever. Yeah.
It's such an amazing compliment. So we do use foam rollers, and people often say, "Oh yeah, I foam rolled all the time. I know what a foam roller is, but look what our foam roller can do."
Yes, I know.
Nice and
There's no other roller like it. Um, it's just the size is different, the texture is different. Um, yeah. And
and
I've
we
had,
don't cause pain to get out of pain. We use soft tools so that we're not hurting ourselves and creating more pain because we think it's going to get us out of pain. That's never really made much sense to me.
right. And I've had clients who in this last year who went, like, they lived here in LA, but they had family back east, and so they went back east, and then somebody had like a soft roller there, and they were using that, and they really noticed that it was different than the one they had here in LA at home. And so they ordered a roller to have there while they were staying there for, during this whole pandemic thing. So there is a difference in these rollers. Even if you have another soft roller, they're not bad. They don't necessarily give you the same results.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've had clients that maybe go for a little bit of a cheaper soft roller and then they end up buying the melt roller anyway
Yes.
because they fall in
Yes.
love with the method and they end up spending way more money than they thought they would. The rollers and balls might seem like they're a little bit expensive, but then I ask people, how much did you spend the last time you went out for dinner? Or what do
Right.
you spend on one massage? So take that
Yes.
money and get yourself a roller, and then your massages will be even better and the results from them will last even longer, right?
Yeah. I know that's one of my favorite things is to combine a massage and then bookend it with some melt,
Melt, yeah,
because yeah, the results are more, they last longer. And
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you just get more for your money that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, Kris, do you offer melt classes?
I do. I'm on Zoom.
Mhm.
Yep, I have classes on Zoom. So
Wonderful. So we will put all of Kris's contact information in the description of this video right underneath. And if you would like to tell me your melt story, please contact me. I will put my email address in there as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kris. It was lovely speaking with you.
thank you, Kerrie. I
Thank
loved it.
you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks, everybody. Happy melting.
Happy melting,
Thanks for tuning
everyone.
in.